that, and then I guess write a story about the handshake they were allowed to observe and not overhear and not ask questions about. They stopped doing the daily briefings. They stopped taking questions from reporters.
I'm
They
just wondering.
staged these weird tableau.
I'm just wondering. How you can just be in somebody's apartment, you know, have no social distance
whatsoever. One of my favorite moments from this time 4 years ago.
No social distancing.
Very weird start at the State Department.
And
that radical departure.
Not even address it like as years and years, 6 years
was
now.
Seeing NBC's Andrea Mitchell not adapt to this new system.
So you know the law doesn't
Andrea
exist
Mitchell
in that
has
sense.
covered the State Department inside and out for decades. She's the greatest State Department reporter of all time. She was allowed in 4 years ago to be one of the reporters at these silent photo op things that the Trump administration was trying to do.
It's a lofty complaint.
And Andrea was just not having it. She was like, no, forget this. You want me to stand here silently and observe you not speaking and sitting next to somebody? No. We're reporters. We need to ask questions.
You're just kind of like, because you know, you took all day of the crap, right? And then they're just on the ceiling, like, you know.
Mr. Secretary, can you do your job with the kind of budget cuts the president has proposed? What does it say about the priority of diplomacy in this administration? Do you think you'll have a deputy anytime soon, sir?
Thank you. We're done. Thank you.
When do you think you might have a deputy?
This way. Come on, guys. Come on, let's go. Andrea, come on, guys. This way. This way. Out, please. Out.
Andrea Mitchell's been covering the State Department for decades. All the staffers, the career staffers at the State Department know her. They're like, Andrea, please. They're not taking questions. Andrea, please.
That's like somebody
You can even hear Andrea herself sort of crack up at the end there. Like, seriously?
No, seriously? You're just going knock on the door with your feet cut off and your fucking peg leg and be like, hey, don't fucking throw it off the balcony.
The State Department interacted with the public and the press.
Call it isolated incident.
No asking questions. You were allowed to observe the Secretary of State silently sitting next to an official while you are not allowed to ask questions about what's going on.
I mean, in general, do you not call yourself a United States terrorist in general? I mean, if it's egged on by like the United States government or something like that. I mean, do you not?
Thank you very much.
Do you not call yourself a United States terrorist? I mean, they're like, oh yeah, you don't do war and stuff. I mean,
with President Putin yesterday.
That's Andrea. Look at her.
Some areas of agreement, such as the arms control agreement, the extension of New START, but at the same time, areas of concern, many of which involve Russia.
Look at her.
We're talking about SolarWinds hack and Ukraine, of course. The investigation, the assessment of interference in the 2020 campaign,
and so,
but also the safety of Alexei Navalny.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, what are the red lines to which the United States would consider sanctioning
what are the boundaries that you have? I mean, you obviously have no boundaries up there.
Or
you have no boundaries at all whatsoever. And you think we're like a gel to mix together, like as a so-called group of units.
As you know, already expressed concern.
Other than me say, oh, take advantage of this. When I can sit up here and be like, you know,
more generally,
I can sit up here and look at my fish. I can sit up here, do anything, any one thing that has nothing to do with you. It has no business with you whatsoever. To be honest, I don't know your first name. Your so-called name is like 90210 or something like that. I don't even know what your first name is. I don't really at this point, I don't give a shit at this point.
Across the board,
that's beyond that.
As the president has said,
overstatement.
We're reviewing all of these actions that are deep concern to us, whether it is the treatment of Mr. Navalny in particular.
Someone like you, you're one of those people that's like, you know, you never see yourself otherwise. You can't walk like beyond, like,
very urgently as well.
Liquor store there without,
applications. We're looking
your
at
back
the
hurting
reports
and your hair falling out of your
bounties
placed
by Russia on American forces in Afghanistan. And of course, we're looking at these questions
you can't
of election
basically you can't do that at all. We know that much, and you're only like 40, right?
Not ruling out anything, but we want to get
and like
review done, and then we'll take it from
there. And for the most part, you're the spokesman for like a lot of these people around here like that.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken
because you watch more than 6 hours of TV a day.
From the State Department and taking complex questions from reporters on his first day on the job and giving them straightforward and indeed, in some cases,
But I mean, if you're gonna sit up here with someone saying, and you're gonna sit and not shut off their phone, you're not gonna shut off their phone because of the fact that they need to troll or something like that. In fact, well, wait a minute, then you're doing sleep deprivation, you're still doing that, what do you call it, you're still doing that torture from like someone, and you're doing the torture, Biden torture now, and such. And you won't cut off their phones to look at their phones, because that's what they're doing, they're trolling basically, and something like that. I mean, we know they're on drugs, we know they're fiends, we know that much.
That's a UE. That is a 180 back to the idea of a functioning government.
That's given, right?
Not to mention the fact that what the new Secretary of State, Secretary Blinken, is
you sit up there, you won't cut off their phones, even though Obama era wouldn't cut off their phones and stuff like that. And Obama era wouldn't cut off their phone and stuff like that. And really, it wouldn't give them anything. We know they drink toilet water. We don't care. We can care less. We can care less how disgusting you are.
Operate because we know in mutual self-interest of our countries as a New START agreement and make it clear.
So basically, that's it. So you can say you sit up here and make somebody bipolar if they just want to sit up here and go buy some goods or sit up there and go a walk and stuff like that.
Winds or whether it's reports of bounties on the heads of Americans in Afghanistan.
Cause all kind of problems, the walkways and stuff like that.
To do a thorough read for me on every one of those issues to update me precisely
if you don't
where
stop the problem, how can you not call yourself a terrorist? I mean, I'm just,
I will not hesitate to raise those issues with the Russians.
It just kind of seems it's just conflicting.
A weird thing about the previous president and Russia, they were saying.
And let's talk.
But one weird thing about it for we, the public, and those of us who work in the news business, is that over the past 4 years,
creativity and artistry and what? Artistry and trolling? You make a living out of harassing people. You make a living out of harassing people. Now, is that not a criminal offense?
From the Kremlin.
Is that not a criminal offense?
The Russian government
and talking about, the police don't want to get involved. Oh, we take it to court.
The first information, sometimes the only information about communications between our president and theirs. Which means, and meant for 4 years, that Russia always got to put their spin on what exactly happened in those many contacts between our two presidents. Under President Trump, Russia would always get to announce the call.
Sit up here and like dust me while I'm sitting up here laying in my bed and sit up here and troll on the phone, and you won't cut off their phone because they don't pay the rent. They won't pay the rent because they won't work for a job. They won't work for a living because they and sit up here and be like that. Okay, so that's how you work. That's how it works. And then is that not like a failed system? Is that not a failed system, or is that like more like
that he was about to have a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and that on that call he intended to talk with him about a whole bunch of things that Russia has done to attack us, or things that we otherwise really don't like about their behavior.
You can sit up here and think about, hey, you know what, hey, that person looked kind of cool or something like that. And then get a thunderous like, oh, you know, all up in your real like,
President Biden's first call with an adversarial foreign leader.
In general, you know
and this time we didn't have to learn about it from the Kremlin first.
Bells and whistles of that.
Government first.
And ourselves.
Not only did we get that word in advance from the president that it was going to happen, but when the call happened,
I mean, and there was no actions to be taken.
Provided a summary of the discussion at the White House press briefing, which is a thing that happens every day now. And then, in addition to that verbal summary of what happened on the call, our government provided a formal written readout of the call, which says that President Biden raised a number of matters of concern with Vladimir Putin. And I'll tell you in advance, the Kremlin also put out their own readout of this call between Biden and Putin, in which they mentioned none of these matters of concern. In the Kremlin readout, they made it sound like Biden just called Putin to talk about economic cooperation and mutual feelings on trade and kissy-kissy, everything's fine. That's the way the Kremlin likes to characterize these discussions between the Russian president and the American president. That's what they did for 4 years with every conversation with Trump and the U.S. government. Let them say whatever they want, took a back seat, never contradicted them, never put out our own take on the call. But since we are no longer that sucker of government, because we are no longer being told as the American public that we need to take the Kremlin's word for what happened in these calls, since we now have a functioning government and a functioning U.S. president who doesn't act like he's working for Russia instead of for the United States, we know from our own government now that Biden pressed Putin on all this stuff, and it wasn't all just talk about mutual feelings and cooperation.
I'm like, well, if you
Biden pressed Putin on matters of concern, including the SolarWinds hack, reports of Russia placing bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, interference in the 2020 U.S. election, and the poisoning of Alexei Navalny, the main opposition leader.
Don't harm anyone. Don't touch it. Don't bother us all,
President
right?
Biden made clear that the United States will act firmly in defense of its national interests in response to actions by Russia that harm us or
but has housing, free housing. So you put that together, and like, you're kind of like, you confuse yourself.
Huge numbers of
as a so-called democracy, you confuse yourself.
And a brutal
you know what I mean? You confuse yourself.
To protest
and you won't let nobody sleep all throughout the day and all throughout the night. You're trying to some situation.
Alexei Navalny, the main opposition leader.